Shelter, it's so much more than a physical structure. It's a concept deeply intertwined with the very essence of family and human connection. My professional life has been a glorious love affair with two miracles, the human brain and the family. Working directly with families for nearly 50 years has taught me a lot about the power of love. Human love, particularly the love that parents have for their children, makes the family the ultimate shelter. Under the protection of parental love, the family becomes a place of acceptance, vulnerability, comfort, forgiveness. The family provides shelter, provides refuge in life's storms. And it also is a place for the incubation and the encouragement of dreams and aspirations. The family is the ideal garden in which human lives might flourish. Experience with families worldwide has shown me that this particular love is part and parcel of our species. I call it the anthropological reality of the family bond. It has served us well for millions of years. Come with me to Venezuela and meet 3 children whose families are beautiful examples of how shelter is so much more than a roof over our heads. We meet 6-month-old Isabel. She's blind, deaf, immobile, and often sick. Her mother, quite understandably, is depressed about her condition. I evaluate Isabel, design a program for her, and teach her parents how to do that program at home. I do my best to console them and encourage them to get counseling to help them with their grief. 6 months later, I see Isabel again. But now, her mother and father look 10 years younger. I know immediately that Isabel is doing very well. We talk about her changes, beginning to see, to hear, move, improved health, reduced seizures, all of which, I hope you realize, are miracles that her parents created. And then we talk about the next steps. As we conclude, the father says to me, you know, the beautiful thing about this program is that now we know there will be a tomorrow. Isn't that beautiful? Now we know there will be a tomorrow. Hope for the future based on love, dedication, and effort applied in the present. Our second child is Jose Antonio, a young boy with learning difficulties who lives deep in the jungle in Apure, the poorest state in Venezuela. Jose Antonio's mother is so dedicated to him that she travels 3 hours by dugout canoe for their monthly appointments. She's thrilled with his changes, and so she, Jose Antonio, and their therapists climb on a bus and travel 24 hours to meet with me in Caracas. We discuss his changes and some of the challenges they have. Part of Jose Antonio's program requires him to be on the floor doing exercises. And the problem with that is that the floor in Jose Antonio's house is made of dirt. Mother solved that problem by putting Jose Antonio on a donkey several times a week and traveling through the hills to a nearby village where her friend had a house with a concrete floor. And at least that way he could get some of his program. But then she comes up with a great thought. And she says to me, when we go home, we've saved our money and we're going to buy the supplies to lay a concrete floor in our house. And that way, Jose Antonio will get all of the program he needs, his results will be even better, and maybe, just maybe, our dreams for him will come true. Finally, we meet Leopoldo. He's the seventh child of a very wealthy family. Born profoundly brain injured, his prognosis was grim: an early death or a short life in a vegetative state. His parents clung to hope, despite the fact that most of the doctors said that there was none. And eventually, they learned about our program. As it has for so many children, it turned out to be the key to unlocking Leopoldo's hidden potential. He learned to see, hear, move, talk. He was a half dozen miracles wrapped up in one little boy's body. And yet, his mother said that the real miracle with Leopoldo was not so much the changes in him, but the way that he affected everybody around him. Once at a dinner party, I heard her speaking to a French reporter, and she said to him that Leopoldo had taught her what being human was all about. Isn't that amazing? A little boy, powerless little boy, teaching his mother, a woman who is mature and sophisticated, what being human is all about. You see, the gift of a child is also the gift of parenthood. It's a life-transforming gift, unleashing stores of love, devotion, and compassion that people never dreamed they were capable of. And when those qualities are focused on a brain-injured child, there is a ripple effect that happens. It starts with the immediate family, and then as people see that love in action, it moves to the neighborhood, to the wider community, and sometimes to communities and people far removed. I've been under the spell for nearly 5 decades, and I still have difficulty explaining exactly what happens when one works nose to nose with a brain-injured child. It's not an earth-shattering event. It's something that happens quietly, beneath the surface of the daily activity. Slowly, it changes you. I believe it's made me more human and more humane. I like to think of it as food for the soul, spirit nourishing spirit. 6 years ago, unexpected circumstances brought my life's experience with the human brain and family into very, very clear focus. It was the ultimate test. My mother was dying, and my father had late-stage Alzheimer's syndrome. They were incapable of continuing to live independently in their home, and so something had to be done. So my wife and I, unprepared, unplanned for, we moved from Oregon to Philadelphia to care for my parents for the rest of their lives. 1 month later, I returned to Oregon to get warm clothing for the cold Philadelphia winter. And while I was there, I thought a lot about this momentous decision and commitment we had made. On the one hand, it was the only logical thing we could do. But something about it bothered me. I thought and prayed a lot. And then one day, the real reason for making the decision hit me. Our life's work had been based on 2 fundamental principles: respect for human life and respect for the dignity of every person, regardless of their circumstances. In the words of Viktor Frankl, life was asking a question of us. And the big question was, how would we respond to that? I realized that we had to walk the talk. We ended up caring for my mom and dad for the rest of their lives in the shelter of their home, giving them the love and support that they had so generously given me and my brothers throughout our lives. Answering life's question in that moment, following the purpose and meaning in that decision, turned out to be the most profound experience of my life. You, me, we all come from families. Let us cherish and nurture them so that we all might flourish. Thank you.